The Galactic Accord had long dismissed Europa as a frozen wasteland, a barren satellite where no life could survive. A crust of ice thicker than any human imagination could breach shielded a world of silence and secrets orbiting the gas giant Jupiter. For centuries, Europa had been little more than a waypoint in star charts, a marker on the map, cold and empty. But that was before the signal. Deep in the capital of the Accord, the enormous command tower hummed with activity as data streamed from the outer reaches of the solar system. Specialist analysts in their sleek silver uniforms huddled over holoscreens and data pads, trying to make sense of the faint transmission detected by a routine long-range scan. The signal was subtle, so faint it almost seemed like a glitch, a whisper in the cosmic static, but it carried a signature no one could deny, a distress beacon. The code was ancient, wrapped in encryption protocols no one had seen in 1,000 years. Dr. Alaravas, a xenolinguist who specialized in pre-expansion communications, stared at the wavering stream of data in disbelief. Her fingers flew over the interface, running complex decryptions and comparing archives. Her heart pounded when the last encrypted layers peeled away to reveal the source. This is human," she said softly, her voice trembling with a mix of excitement and dread. Across the room, Commander Tarek Venner, a no-nonsense veteran of the Accord's exploratory fleet, barely concealed his skepticism. Human? That's impossible. Humanity was extinguished in the expansion wars over a millennium ago. The Terrans were erased, confirmed extinct by every system's record. Are you certain? Alara nodded. I'm certain. The signal's frequency, the encryption style, even the biological markers embedded within the transmission protocols, it all matches Terran origin. Someone, or something, is sending this distress call from beneath Europa's ice. The room fell silent, tension thickening the air. The Galactic Accord had been built on a fragile peace forged by many races after the brutal conflicts of the expansion wars. One core tenet was clear: humanity no longer existed. If a human signal was detected, it could mean only one thing: their extinction was a lie. Venner quickly ordered, "Prepare the Sentinel. Dispatch a reconnaissance drone immediately. We need eyes on Europa, the Sentinel, and the journey." The Sentinel was the pride of the Accord's scientific fleet, a sleek, autonomous probe equipped with advanced sensors, stealth tech, and a quantum relay to transmit findings in real time. It launched from the orbiting station Aegis in a flash, hurtling through space towards Europa's orbit. Its sensors swept over the moon's frozen surface, scanning for any sign of life or technology. The ice reflected sunlight like a mirror, hiding what lay beneath in a labyrinth of subglacial oceans and mineral vents. But then the unexpected happened. The Sentinel's bioscanners lit up, faint heartbeats, traces of DNA, and an intricate web of subterranean caverns filled with breathable atmosphere. There was life down there, hidden for centuries beneath the ice. The drone's cameras revealed sprawling structures, vast tunnels carved with precision, and strange metallic complexes glowing faintly with internal power. It was a settlement, abandoned but intact, and unmistakably engineered by human hands. The Galactic Accord's response. Back at the command center, the revelation sent shockwaves through the leadership. Europa wasn't just a forgotten moon. It was the last refuge of a species believed extinct. The Accord's databases, carefully curated for over 1,000 years, suddenly became unreliable. The news spread quickly among the member races of the Accord. Some reacted with curiosity, others with fear. The Council of Elders convened an emergency session, debating how to handle the situation. The Terrans had been a formidable foe during the expansion wars, legendary for their resilience, tactical genius, and an unbreakable will to survive. Many within the Accord feared a resurgence could reignite old hostilities. Yet others argued for cautious diplomacy. If humanity has survived, they deserve to be heard. "We should not repeat the mistakes of the past," said Elder Xar, the reptilian envoy from the Drathic Dominion. "We owe it to history and to peace to discover who they are now." The debate raged late into the night. Until a consensus was reached, a small team would be sent to investigate, to establish contact if possible, and gather intelligence on what remained of humanity beneath the ice. Europa's silent depths. Meanwhile, beneath the cold surface of Europa, the silence was broken not by human voices, but by the faint hum of machinery awakening. For over 1,000 years, the last human survivors had waited. Their vessels lay dormant in cryogenic chambers scattered through vast vaults of steel and ice. Systems built to withstand the cruel cold had preserved them in a state of suspended animation. Among them, one man stirred. Commander Adrian Vale opened his eyes to darkness pierced only by emergency lights flickering on overhead. The cold was gone, replaced by a sterile warmth as the cryopod hissed open. Muscle memory kicked in immediately, combat training, situational awareness, survival instincts sharpened through decades of hard-fought wars. He was alive, the last sentinel of humanity's last stand. With him, the rest of his squad would soon follow, and the mission was clear: survive, find out what happened to Earth, and if possible, reclaim their place among the stars. The first steps. Adrian rose unsteadily, limbs stiff but ready. His mind raced, piecing together fragmented data from centuries-old logs encoded in the facility's AI. Earth was gone, lost to a brutal war that had swept the galaxy in its final days. The Galactic Accord had declared humanity extinct, but they had lied, or worse, had been ignorant. A voice crackled from the nearby console. The AI system, old but functional, began downloading mission parameters. Primary objective: establish contact with any remaining human survivors. Secondary objective: assess Accord presence and threat level. Tertiary objective: prepare for possible conflict. Adrian's gaze hardened. He was no longer just a soldier. He was the last hope of humanity's rebirth. The signal's truth. Back on Aegis, Alara watched the data feed, anticipation and fear warring within her. The signal's source was real. Humanity was no myth. The implications were staggering. The galaxy had believed humanity dead for a millennium. But here they were, alive, hidden, waiting. Alara whispered to herself as the drone's camera zoomed in on the ice vault's entrance. This is just the beginning. The quiet of space shattered as the message spread throughout the stars. Humanity is not dead. Beneath kilometers of fractured ice, Europa's secret heart pulsed with ancient life. The surface was a frozen desert, but below, the environment was engineered. A sprawling subterranean network of tunnels, vaults, and chambers, carved into the moon's bedrock and lined with steel, concrete, and layers of high-tech shielding. It was a fortress, a sanctuary, a tomb, and most importantly, a cradle of hope. Awakening. Inside one of the massive cryogenic vaults, the silence that had lasted for over 1,000 years was finally broken. The airlocks hissed and valves turned, pumping warmth into the dormant chambers. Sensors sparked online, diagnostics ran, and power surged through ancient conduits buried beneath ice and stone. The cryopods, sleek metal capsules designed to preserve life through the ages, began their slow process of thawing. One by one, hissing lids lifted with hydraulic grace. Soldiers clad in sleek combat armor and equipped with modular weapon systems were roused from their slumber, muscles stiff from the long sleep, but minds sharp from neural preservation programs. These were the last remnants of the Terran Vanguard, humanity's elite fighting force, engineered during Earth's darkest days to fight impossible wars and survive extinction. Commander Adrian Vale was the first to awaken. His eyes opened to a dim, red emergency light flickering overhead. He gasped, the cold metal walls pressing in as reality flooded back. For a moment, disorientation gripped him. The cold, the darkness, the silence, it all felt like death. But then the memories surged. The war, the betrayal, the evacuation orders, the final push to hide humanity's last breath away from the genocidal reach of the Galactic Accord. He remembered the vow he had taken before entering cryosleep, a vow to awaken when humanity needed them most. Reclaiming identity. Adrian flexed his fingers, tested his limbs, and reached for the interface console beside his pod. It blinked to life, projecting a holographic display in front of him. Data flooded in from the vault's central AI, system status, atmospheric integrity, external sensor readings, encrypted mission logs. The messages were fragmented but clear enough. Earth was lost. The Galactic Accord had wiped the human homeworld clean, declaring the species extinct. But the Vanguard had survived, hidden in the deepest reaches of the solar system, preserved for the day they could return. With a grin set to his jaw, Adrian issued the wake command for the rest of the squad. One by one, his teammates' pods hissed open. Soldiers with frozen expressions, bio-augmentation implants, and the steel-hard resolve of warriors who had trained for 1,000 years to never surrender. Lieutenant Mira Chun, the squad's tactical officer, was the next to rise. She blinked away the frost from her lashes and quickly assessed her surroundings, nodding at Adrian. Systems online. No structural breaches detected. External sensors indicate activity outside the vault. Activity. That word sent a ripple of tension through the squad. The vault's secrets. The underground complex was vast, a sprawling maze of corridors, labs, armories, and command centers. Many sections had powered down long ago, but the emergency protocols maintained basic life support and security functions. The Vanguard moved with practiced precision, scavenging supplies, restoring communications, and accessing encrypted databanks. Holograms flickered to life, revealing maps of the vault and encrypted logs from before the fall of Earth. The data told a story of desperate last stands, scientific breakthroughs, and a secret plan to survive beyond extinction. Their creators, the leaders of the old Terran Alliance, had built this vault not just as a shelter, but as a weaponized ark, a last-ditch effort to preserve humanity's legacy, culture, and fighting spirit in the cold void until the day they could reclaim their birthright. A message from the past. In the command hub, Adrian accessed a final message, transmitted moments before the vault's cryogenic systems engaged. It was from General Kessler, the man who had led the last defense of Earth. If this message reaches you, know that we fought for every breath of freedom. The Galactic Accord branded us heretics, traitors, threats to their fragile peace. But we were the last flame of humanity. We built this vault to survive the coming storm. When you awake, the war is over, or so they believe. Remember your mission. Remember who you are. Remember that we will return. The words struck Adrian like a thunderclap. The war was over for now, but the mission was far from complete. Humanity's story was not finished. Europa's hidden depths. Outside the vault, Europa's ice groaned and cracked. The moon's surface was deceptive, a frozen crust concealing vast oceans of liquid water heated by Jupiter's tidal forces. Within these hidden seas, life had evolved, but not in the form anyone expected. The Terran vault had harnessed these natural heat sources to power the complex, and its tunnels stretched deep, following geothermal vents and natural caverns. This was a world designed for endurance and secrecy. Sensors detected subtle movements in the ice, fissures expanding, small robotic drones stirring in storage bays, and signs that the Accord's Sentinel probe had approached the perimeter, preparing for the unknown. Adrian knew that awakening was only the beginning. The Galactic Accord would soon arrive, and with them, questions, demands, and possibly war. His squad began securing defensive positions, repairing automated turrets, and activating stealth fields designed to mask their presence from orbital scanners. They tested weapon systems built for brutal efficiency: electromagnetic pulse rifles, graviton grenades, and adaptive armor. Every soldier felt the weight of centuries of waiting on their shoulders, the promise to survive, to fight, and to reclaim what was lost. Lieutenant Chin reviewed the encrypted data from the Sentinel scans, confirming the presence of Accord ships heading towards Europa. The war they had hoped never to fight again was rekindling. The vow renewed. Gathered in the command chamber, Adrian addressed his squad. His voice was steady, filled with the weight of history and the fire of resolve. We were the last line of defense when Earth fell. Now we are the first spark of a new beginning. The Accord believes we are extinct. They believe we are a memory, a cautionary tale. But we survived. We endured. And now, it is time to remind the galaxy what humanity is. Mira Chin's eyes glinted with fierce determination. We don't just survive, We fight for Earth, for the future, for the species that waited outside the vault. Europa's icy silence stretched into the stars, harboring a secret that would soon shatter the fragile peace of the Galactic Accord. Humanity was back. The Galactic Accord's flagship, the Celestial Dawn, hung silently in orbit around Europa. Its massive hull gleamed against the backdrop of Jupiter's swirling clouds, a technological marvel forged from the combined ingenuity of dozens of advanced species. But beneath its sleek exterior, the crew bristled with tension. Commander Tarek Venner paced the command bridge, eyes fixed on the hollow projection of Europa's icy surface. The unexpected discovery of human life beneath the moon's frozen crust had shaken the very foundation of the Accord's carefully maintained history. You understand what this means, Venner? Admiral Syra Khan's voice cut sharply through the room. She stood tall, her uniform crisp, bearing the insignia of the High Council. If humans still exist, hidden and armed, it threatens everything the Accord has built. The peace, the alliances, the control. Venner nodded grimly. Agreed, ma'am, but we don't know their intentions. This could be a desperate outpost or a strategic stronghold. Either way, we need to handle this carefully. A misstep could ignite a conflict that unravels the galaxy. Political undercurrents. Admiral Khan turned to the assembled council of alien delegates. Each representative was a master of diplomacy, manipulation, or outright intimidation. The Drathic envoy, Xar, crossed his reptilian arms, his eyes narrowing. The human's legacy is one of war and rebellion, he hissed. If they have survived in secret, they are likely dangerous. We should consider a preemptive strike. Such aggression would fracture the Accord, countered Lyra Tamsin, a diplomat from the Avian Concord. We must attempt contact first. Perhaps there is room for dialogue. The humans are survivors, yes, but they may also be willing to cooperate. The debate was heated, reflecting centuries of mistrust, fear, and political intrigue. The Galactic Accord had long rewritten history, erasing humanity's existence to prevent the resurgence of what they labeled as the Terran threat. Now, the fragile peace was at risk. Venner's mission. Venner was appointed to lead the first official Accord delegation to Europa. His orders were clear but fraught with complexity. Establish communication, assess the human presence, and report back. Use force only if absolutely necessary. As the Celestial Dawn prepared its shuttle launch bay, Venner reviewed the intelligence gathered by the Sentinel drone. Images of the buried vault, weaponized systems, and biosignatures indicated a highly advanced, battle-ready human enclave. But no direct response had come from the humans yet. The silence was unnerving. The shuttle descent. The small shuttle slipped through Europa's thin atmosphere, its thrusters burning away the cold void. Below, the vast frozen plain stretched endlessly, interspersed with jagged cracks where the moon's icy shell was weakest. Venner sat rigidly in the pilot's seat, flanked by a small team of diplomats, xenolinguists, and security officers. Among them was Dr. Alarivas, whose expertise in human languages and culture was deemed crucial. Remember, this is a delicate situation, Venner briefed the team. Our priority is contact. Show strength, but don't provoke. Alara nodded, her eyes scanning encrypted transmissions they hoped to use as a basis for communication. First contact. The shuttle touched down near one of the ice fissures detected by the Sentinel. Venner's team disembarked into Europa's thin, frigid atmosphere, their suits equipped for extreme conditions. They approached the vault entrance, a massive reinforced door embedded in the ice, sealed tight with layers of technology and ancient locks. Venner activated the comlink and spoke into the void. This is Commander Tarek Venner of the Galactic Accord. We come in peace and seek dialogue with the humans of Europa. Silence answered. The only sound was the crunch of boots on ice. Suddenly, a panel on the door slid aside, revealing a figure clad in sleek armor, eyes sharp and wary. Human presence. Commander Adrian Vale stepped forward, weapon ready but not raised. His expression was unreadable, a mixture of surprise, caution, and defiance. You're the Accord, Adrian said, voice firm. We've been expecting this day for centuries. Venner raised his hands in a gesture of peace. We want to understand, to find a way forward without conflict. Humanity is not extinct. We have evidence of your survival, but we need to know why you stayed hidden. Adrian's gaze hardened. Because the Accord hunted us. Because Earth was destroyed by your wars and your lies. Because we were forced into the shadows to live or die. A fragile dialogue. The two leaders stepped into the vault's entrance chamber, tension thick as they began a tentative conversation. Adrian revealed the story of humanity's fall, the brutal expansion wars, the genocidal campaigns by the Accord, and the desperate retreat into Europa's depths. He spoke of the cryogenic vaults, the centuries of waiting, and the mission to survive and reclaim their place. Venner listened, conflicted. The Accord's official narrative painted humanity as aggressors, but here was a living witness to a different truth, one of survival and betrayal. Dr. Alara Voss, analyzing the conversation, realized the gravity of the situation. This was not just about survival. It was about identity, history, and the chance for reconciliation. Shadows of the past, but not all aboard the Celestial Dawn wanted peace. A faction within the Council viewed humanity as an existential threat. Their fear of a resurgent Terran military power was palpable, and whispers of covert sabotage and assassination plans circulated in the corridors of power. Venner became aware that his mission was more than diplomatic. It was a tightrope walk between peace and war, truth and propaganda. A warning from within. As the delegation prepared to leave Europa, a message arrived from the vault's deeper levels, a hidden bunker where older war machines were kept in reserve. A holographic projection flickered to life, showing a grizzled face. General Kessler. Commander Venner, the message began. If you value peace, heed this warning. There are forces within the Accord who will stop at nothing to extinguish humanity once and for all. Trust no one blindly. The war is far from over. The message cut off, but its implications were clear. The shadows lurking in the Accord's politics could erupt into open conflict at any moment. Departure and uncertainty. Venner's shuttle lifted off Europa, the icy moon shrinking behind them as they returned to the Celestial Dawn. The fragile bridge between two civilizations had been built, but it was a bridge over a chasm filled with suspicion, fear, and the ghosts of a bloody past. As Europa faded into the distance, Venner knew one thing. Humanity's return was not a simple story of survival. It was a challenge to the very order of the galaxy, a spark that could ignite the darkest fears or the brightest hopes. Europa's silent warning. The cold silence of Europa's frozen surface masked a brewing storm beneath. Inside the vault, the Terran vanguard moved swiftly to reinforce their defenses. Commander Adrian Vale and Lieutenant Mira Chen understood that the delicate peace promised by the Accord's envoy was fragile, if not illusory. The warning from General Kessler's hologram echoed in their minds. Within the Galactic Accord lurked factions eager to snuff out humanity's resurgence. They had survived genocide and exile. Now, they faced political machinations as deadly as any battlefield. Urgent preparations. With the Celestial Dawn retreating into orbit, the vanguard wasted no time. Teams of engineers and scientists worked around the clock repairing dormant defense systems and upgrading the vault's stealth shielding. Mira oversaw the reactivation of the automated turrets, advanced energy barriers, and drone sentries. Every system was calibrated to respond instantly to threats, blending old Terran ingenuity with modern tech scavenged from the ruins of Earth. Adapting to new technology is key, Mira told her squad. We've been asleep for 1,000 years, but we don't just wake up, we rise. Human spirit rekindled. In the communal halls, the soldiers and scientists gathered for a briefing. The atmosphere was thick with tension, but also a fierce sense of purpose. You woke up to a new galaxy, Adrian addressed them. The Accord's shadow is long, but our spirit is longer. We are humanity's last hope, and we will not bow. A murmur of agreement swept through the room. Faces once frozen in cryo-sleep now shone with determination and a rekindled fire. A spark in the darkness. Elsewhere, deep within Europa's labyrinthine tunnels, a small group of Vanguard scouts discovered an ancient chamber long forgotten. Inside lay relics from Earth's golden age, a dormant AI core, a prototype quantum reactor, and, most shockingly, a hidden archive of human history, unaltered by the Accord's propaganda. The discovery was a beacon. It held the truths of humanity's past, untouched by the political rewriting from the stars. It was proof that their story was not just survival, it was legacy. The Accord strikes, but the fragile hope was shattered abruptly. Sensors screamed warnings. The celestial dawn had dispatched assault shuttles, accompanied by armed cruisers slicing through Europa's orbit. The Accord's forces were coming back, this time not for diplomacy. Adrian gathered his commanders. They want to crush us before we can grow. We won't let that happen. Battle stations buzzed to life as the vault's defenses roared awake, energy shields flaring and turrets locking on incoming targets. The first clash. Europa's icy crust cracked and exploded under precision orbital strikes. The vault trembled but held. Vanguard soldiers moved with deadly efficiency, utilizing guerrilla tactics honed over centuries. They struck from shadowed tunnels and melted back into the darkness, disrupting the Accord's landing teams. Mira led a rapid response squad, using electromagnetic pulse grenades to disable enemy drones and plasma rifles to cover retreating comrades. Despite their overwhelming technological disadvantage, the humans fought with unparalleled tenacity. Their bio-augmented reflexes, innovative strategies, and sheer willpower kept the Accord forces at bay, rising against the odds. As the battle escalated, Adrian received word that one of the outer defense hubs was compromised. Without hesitation, he led a counterattack squad into the frigid tunnels, pushing back the invaders with brutal efficiency. "Hold the line," he commanded. "For every inch we lose, we'll take two back." The fighting was brutal. Metal clashed with metal. Plasma fire illuminated the darkness, but the Vanguard refused to yield. Hope and unity. Meanwhile, aboard the Celestial Dawn, dissent grew among the Accord's ranks. Some council members argued for peace talks. Others pushed for annihilation. Commander Venner, haunted by his encounter with the humans, clandestinely reached out to Adrian via a secure channel. His message was simple but profound. "There are those in the Accord who see you as a threat, but I see survivors, fighters, worthy of respect. Let us find a way to end this before more blood is spilled." A moment's respite. In the vault's command center, Adrian received Venner's message. It was a lifeline, a chance to bridge the chasm of distrust. "We fight because we must," Adrian replied, "but we hope for a future where we don't have to." The brief lull in fighting was precious. Both sides took stock, repaired wounds, and prepared for what would come next. The flames of defiance. Europa had become a battleground, a frozen crucible where humanity's future would be forged anew. Against overwhelming odds, the Vanguard's defiance burned bright. Their struggle was more than survival. It was a declaration. Humanity would not be erased. They would rise, fight, and reclaim their place among the stars. Aftermath of battle. The echoes of the assault still reverberated beneath Europa's frozen crust. The vault's corridors bore fresh scars, scorched metal, shattered panels, and flickering lights. Though the Vanguard had repelled the Accord's attack, the cost was high. Commander Adrian Vale walked through the aftermath, his face grim but resolute. He knew the battle was just the beginning. The Accord would not give up easily. His thoughts were interrupted by a call from the vault's intelligence center. Dr. Alaravas, now temporarily on Europa after the brief peace overture, had urgent news. A secret archive unearthed. Alara's team had decrypted files found within the ancient archive discovered earlier. Hidden deep in the vault's core, the data revealed secrets long buried by the Galactic Accord's rewriting of history. "This isn't just old records," Alara explained, her voice trembling with a mix of excitement and dread. "This is proof of a covert campaign, a deliberate extermination of humanity after Earth's fall. And there's more." She projected holograms into the room, classified Accord documents, star maps, and intercepted communications. These files show the Accord's efforts to erase not only humans but their technology, culture, and influence from galactic records. They feared humanity's resilience, our capacity to innovate and fight the lost technologies. Among the files, detailed schematics described lost Terran technologies, propulsion systems far beyond anything the Accord currently possessed, advanced bioengineering, and AI designs with unprecedented adaptability. Narration, examining the data closely, realized these technologies could change the balance of power. If we can restore these systems, we gain more than survival. We gain leverage. Adrian nodded thoughtfully. But that makes us a bigger target. The Accord won't rest until it's all destroyed. A hidden enemy. The revelations deepened the unease. Within the Celestial Dawn, Commander Venner grappled with the implications. His covert contact within the Accord warned of a shadow faction. Extremists within the Council determined to eliminate humanity regardless of diplomacy. This isn't just politics, Venner confided to his trusted officers. It's a crusade. They fear us not just as survivors, but as the spark of rebellion that could unravel the Accord. Fragile alliances. Venner's clandestine messages continued, now routed securely through Europa's communication arrays. He urged caution but also offered aid. We want to protect the legacy of peace. Help us expose the radicals before they destroy us all. Adrian debated the offer with his commanders. Trust was scarce, but the possibility of allies inside the Accord was too valuable to ignore. After long deliberation, they agreed to accept Venner's tentative alliance, a fragile thread of hope in a galaxy veiled in shadows. The buried past. Meanwhile, Alara and her team explored the ancient AI core found in the hidden chamber. Activating the dormant intelligence was a gamble. The AI could contain priceless knowledge or dangerous protocols. As the core hummed to life, it introduced itself in a calm, modulated voice. I am Archive 9, Guardian of Human Knowledge and History. Access authorized. Archive 9 held a vast database, historical accounts, scientific breakthroughs, and, most importantly, records of humanity's final efforts to resist the Accord's purge. A message from the past. Among the files was a final transmission from Earth's last defense council, a warning to future generations. The Galactic Accord has rewritten our fate, the message stated, but humanity's spirit endures. We entrust you with our legacy. Survive, reclaim your history, and fight for your rightful place. Adrian felt the weight of that message settle upon him like a mantle. The fight was not just for survival, it was for the truth, for justice, and for hope. A new threat emerges, but time was running out. Sensors detected a new wave of incoming ships, faster, more heavily armed than before. The shadow faction within the Accord was mobilizing for a decisive strike. Venner's warning was clear. Prepare for the worst. They will not stop until humanity is erased. Unity in defiance. As Europa braced for the coming storm, Adrian, Mira, Alara, and Venner forged their alliance stronger. They shared knowledge, resources, and strategies, a coalition born of necessity and shared resolve. Their fight was more than tactical. It was symbolic. The flames of defiance kindled in Europa were now a beacon, a call for all survivors, hidden enclaves, and allies across the stars. Looking ahead, the battle for survival had revealed a deeper war, a war for truth, identity, and the future of humanity among the stars. Europa was no longer just a refuge. It was a battleground for the soul of a species. And as the new dawn approached, the choices they made would echo through the galaxy. The calm before the storm. Europa's vault hummed with activity, its people fortified by recent discoveries and fragile alliances. Yet beneath the surface of this fragile unity, mistrust simmered. The alliance between Commander Adrian Vale and Commander Venner of the Celestial Dawn was uneasy, bound by necessity rather than trust. In the dimly lit war room, holographic star maps flickered as advisors debated strategy. Adrian studied the incoming intel carefully, aware that the next Accord assault would be more brutal and calculated than before. The sting of deception. But the greatest threat wasn't just from outside the vault. Whispers of sabotage and betrayal began to circulate among the vanguard ranks. Mirachin noticed strange discrepancies in supply inventories, unauthorized access logs, and encrypted communications that didn't match any known signatures. Someone inside is feeding the Accord information, she warned during a tense meeting with Adrian and Alara. The room fell silent. Unmasking the traitor, Adrian ordered a covert investigation. Teams of security officers swept through the vault's corridors, scanning for unusual activity. Using Archive-9's advanced AI algorithms, they analyzed communication patterns and biometric logs. Days passed in a tense haze. Then, the culprit was revealed, a trusted officer who had infiltrated the Vanguard under a false identity, secretly reporting back to the Shadow faction within the Accord. Confrontation and consequences. The traitor was confronted in the vault's armory, surrounded by heavily armed soldiers. Why? Mira demanded. Why betray your own? The officer's eyes glinted coldly. Survival isn't enough. The Accord offers order, strength through unity. Humanity's defiance only leads to destruction. Adrian's voice was steel. Our strength is our freedom. We will never bow to tyranny. Cracks in the alliance. The betrayal shook the vault's morale. Some questioned the wisdom of trusting Commander Venner and his Accord sympathizers. Venner himself was under scrutiny. Though he protested his loyalty, suspicion lingered like a shadow. To prove his sincerity, Venner proposed a bold plan, a covert strike against the Shadow faction's stronghold, aiming to dismantle their command network and buy time for the Vanguard. A dangerous mission. Adrian agreed reluctantly. He handpicked an elite strike team, including Mira, Alara, and a few of the Vault's most skilled operatives. The mission: infiltrate the Accord's secret base hidden on a desolate asteroid in the outer system, retrieve critical intelligence, and sabotage their operations. The Celestial Dawn provided stealth shuttle support, and the team prepared for what could be a one-way trip into the void. The shuttle slipped through the void, cloaked and silent. Tension was high. Every second felt like a heartbeat of fate. Mira checked her weapons and scanning gear, her mind sharp but weighed down by the stakes. This mission could change everything, she murmured. Or it could be the end. Infiltration. Landing on the asteroid's surface, the team moved cautiously through jagged rock formations, avoiding patrols and surveillance drones. Inside the base, sterile corridors were filled with whispered echoes of secrets and power. Alara hacked security nodes while the others secured their flanks, every step bringing them closer to the command center. The core of darkness. At the heart of the base, the team found the command network, a labyrinth of consoles and data cores humming with encrypted information. As Alara worked to extract data, alarms suddenly blared. The team was discovered. A fierce firefight erupted in the claustrophobic corridors. Energy blasts lit the walls as the Vanguard operatives fought with grim determination. Escape and revelation. With data secured, the team fought their way back to the shuttle, narrowly escaping the base's destruction charges set by retreating Accord forces. Back aboard the Celestial Dawn, the stolen intel revealed chilling truths: plans for a massive, coordinated strike across multiple human enclaves, aiming to crush resistance in one devastating blow. A race against time. Adrian knew the Vanguard's window was closing fast. The Shadow faction's grip was tightening, and betrayal lurked closer than ever. The only hope was unity, not just among humans, but with those in the Accord willing to stand against tyranny. A flicker of hope. As the chapter closes, Adrian and Venner prepare to send a galaxy-wide call for allies. The flames of defiance still burn, but the shadows of betrayal remind them the war ahead would test not just their strength, but their faith in one another. A call across the stars. The stolen intel sent shockwaves through the Vanguard command. The Shadow faction's planned strike was imminent, targeting multiple human enclaves and outposts scattered across distant star systems. It was an orchestrated attempt to snuff out humanity's rekindled presence in the galaxy in a single, ruthless blow. Commander Adrian Vale knew the stakes. The fight for survival had evolved into a fight for existence itself, not just for the Vanguard on Europa, but for every hidden enclave of humanity. With Venner's reluctant cooperation, Adrian prepared to broadcast a galaxy-wide call for allies, a plea to every human survivor and sympathetic species to unite against the encroaching tyranny. The message. In the Celestial Dawn's command center, Mira Chun and Alara Voss worked side by side, crafting a message that was both a declaration and a beacon of hope. "We don't just ask for help," Mira said. "We remind them who we are. Humanity doesn't bow. We rise." Alara nodded, fingers flying over the console as they encoded the transmission in a secure, untraceable signal. Adrian's voice echoed through the vault's comms. "To every survivor of Earth's fall, to every friend and ally among the stars, the time has come. Stand with us, or watch humanity be extinguished." Echoes of resistance. The message reverberated through star systems, reaching isolated colonies and long-forgotten outposts. Responses trickled in, cautious at first, then swelling into a tide of solidarity. Old friends and former enemies alike sent ships, supplies, and fighters to join the Vanguard's cause. Species once indifferent or hostile to humanity now found common ground in resisting the Shadow faction's fanatical purge, forging new bonds. Among the unexpected allies was the Kirith, a warrior species known for their fierce honor code. Their leader, Warlord Sarek, offered his warriors and technology, seeing in humanity a kindred spirit of defiance. "We honor those who fight for freedom," Sarek declared during a tense diplomatic meeting. "Your battle is ours." Adrian and Vinner worked tirelessly to meld diverse forces into a unified front, overcoming language barriers, cultural differences, and mutual distrust. Training and preparation. Back on Europa, the vault buzzed with renewed purpose. New recruits trained alongside seasoned veterans, learning tactics and technologies from across the Allied fleets. Mira led advanced combat drills, pushing her team harder than ever. "We don't just fight for survival," she reminded them. "We fight for a future." Alara and the scientists integrated recovered Terran tech with alien innovations, developing new weapons, shields, and AI systems to level the playing field. A ticking clock. Despite the growing alliance, the Shadow faction's forces advanced relentlessly. Scouts reported massive troop movements, orbital bombardments, and cyber assaults against human communications. Vinner's contacts inside the Accord warned that the coordinated strike was days away, a galactic purge aimed at crushing all pockets of resistance simultaneously. A bold plan. With time running out, Adrian convened a council of leaders from the Vanguard and their allies. "We can't wait for them to come to us," he said firmly. "We strike first, hit their staging grounds, disrupt their command, and show them humanity won't go quietly." The plan was daring, a multi-pronged offensive targeting key supply depots, communication hubs, and shipyards that fueled the Shadow faction's war machine. The first spark. The Allied fleet launched under the cover of Europa's artificial night, warships streaking through the void like blazing comets. Mira led a special forces team on a raid against a major supply depot orbiting the icy moon of Caliban. Precision strikes disabled defenses, and elite troops secured vital resources. Back at the vault, victory celebrations were tempered by grim awareness. This was only the beginning, a new dawn. As the dust settled, the flame of rebellion grew brighter. Humanity, battered but unbroken, had ignited a spark that could blaze across the stars. Europa was no longer just a refuge, it was the cradle of a rising tide. The war for freedom had entered a new phase. After the offensive, the initial strikes against the Shadow faction's infrastructure rocked the Accord's forces. The supply depots were crippled, communication arrays silenced, and shipyards damaged beyond quick repair. Europa's vault buzzed with cautious optimism. Humanity had won their first major victory in the Galactic War. But victory had a price. Casualties and loss. The Celestial Dawn's medbay overflowed with the wounded. Narration, overseeing triage, moved from patient to patient with practiced efficiency, but the weight of loss was palpable. Among the fallen was Captain Rao, a veteran fighter and one of Adrian's closest confidants. His sacrifice during the Caliban raid had saved dozens of lives but left a void in the Vanguard's ranks. Adrian struggled to reconcile the cost. Each victory etched sorrow into their souls, a constant reminder that survival demanded sacrifice. A fractured alliance. Even amid celebration, tensions simmered beneath the surface. The Kirith warriors clashed with Vanguard soldiers over tactics and leadership. Cultural misunderstandings threatened to fracture the fragile coalition. Venner's presence remained a point of contention. Some viewed him as a necessary ally. Others suspected him of hidden agendas. Adrian called a council meeting to address the growing discord. "We win or fall together," he reminded them. "Unity is our greatest weapon." Sabotage from within. As the vanguard regrouped, a new threat emerged: sabotage within Europa's own vault. Critical systems faltered without explanation. Power grids flickered, data corrupted, and security protocols breached. Alaravos, alarmed by the patterns, suspected a mole was active once again. With Myra's help, Alara launched a deep system sweep, tracing anomalies through layers of encrypted code, uncovering the traitor. The investigation led them to a chilling discovery. A high-ranking technician had been covertly disabling systems and leaking information to the Shadow faction. When confronted, the technician revealed a grim motivation, a belief that the Accord's vision of order was inevitable and that resistance was futile. "I'm saving what I can," the traitor claimed bitterly. "Better to control the fall than fight a losing war." Betrayal's cost. The traitor's actions caused delays and damaged critical infrastructure, forcing the vanguard to divert resources to repair and security. Adrian ordered a swift trial and sentencing to maintain order. The betrayal deepened their resolve. Survival demanded vigilance, not just against external enemies, but within. Renewed resolve. Despite internal strife and heavy losses, the coalition pressed forward. Training intensified, defenses were reinforced, and new strategies developed. Venner shared intelligence from inside the Accord, revealing the Shadow faction's plans for a final, overwhelming assault targeting Europa itself. The message was clear: the vault would become ground zero. Preparing for the siege, Europa transformed into a fortress. Automated turrets, energy shields, and minefields surrounded the station. The Allied fleet took defensive positions in orbit, ready to repel incoming waves. Mira led teams in upgrading ground defenses and training new recruits in guerrilla tactics, preparing for a battle that might push them to the brink. A moment of reflection. In a rare moment of quiet, Adrian stood before the viewport, gazing out at the cold expanse of space. He thought of Earth, the lost home, the cradle of humanity's indomitable spirit. Their journey had been marked by loss, betrayal, and hardship, but also by hope and courage. "We fight not just for survival," he whispered. "We fight for the future we will build." The calm before the storm. As Europa braced for the coming siege, every soldier, scientist, and ally knew the next battle would decide the fate of humanity. The price of victory had been steep, but their spirit remained unbroken. The war was far from over. After the siege, the dust had barely settled on Europa when the first rays of a new dawn crept across the icy surface. The vault, scarred and battered, still stood. The Allied forces were exhausted but alive. The Shadow faction had been repelled, but the cost was immense. Commander Adrian Vale moved slowly through the halls, his footsteps echoing against the cold metal walls. Everywhere he looked, he saw the faces of those who had given everything: fallen comrades, wounded survivors, and determined fighters preparing for whatever came next. Rebuilding hope. In the aftermath, the vault became a hive of activity. Engineers worked tirelessly to repair systems and restore power. Medical teams treated the injured, while scientists and strategists gathered to plan the future. Alara Voss stood amid a group of tech specialists, sharing her discoveries on how to better integrate human and alien technology. "If we don't adapt, we won't survive," she said. "Our enemies won't wait." Mirachin trained the next wave of recruits, instilling in them the same relentless spirit that had carried the vanguard through the darkest days. "You are the shield and the sword," she reminded them. "We carry the future on our shoulders." Unity forged in fire. The fragile alliance that had once been fractured was now stronger than ever. Warlord Sarek of the Kirith met with Adrian in the command center. "We have faced death together," Sarek said, his voice deep with respect. "Now we are brothers in arms." Venner, once a shadowy figure of suspicion, had earned cautious trust through his sacrifices and intelligence contributions. The coalition was no longer just a necessity, It was a new family, a message to the stars. With Europa secure for the moment, Adrian prepared a broadcast to the scattered human enclaves and allied species across the galaxy. This is not the end, but a beginning. His voice carried through the network. We have faced darkness and emerged stronger. Together, we will reclaim our place among the stars. We will build a future worthy of those who came before us, a future of freedom, hope, and unity. Seeds of a new era. The war was far from over, but the tide had shifted. New colonies were founded, and old worlds were rediscovered. Trade routes reopened, and cultural exchanges flourished. Humanity, once nearly extinct, now stood as a beacon of resilience and innovation. A species that had faced annihilation and refused to bow. Personal reflections. That evening, Adrian stood once more by the viewport, gazing at the stars. Beside him, Mira joined quietly. "Do you think we'll ever truly be safe?" He smiled softly. "Safety is an illusion, but strength, hope, and unity, those are real, and they will carry us forward." The journey continues. As Europa's lights shimmered against the endless void, the people inside prepared for what was to come. They were survivors, fighters, dreamers, and this was their new dawn.